Hi friends, now today I have the honor of having with me Dr. Sarthak Wadhera. He is rank 1 PGI Chandigarh. It's an awesome achievement. It is a great central institute to have a rank 1. Sarthak, how are you feeling today?
So I'm feeling very nice about it, and um, yeah, after working so much hard and getting a rank 1 in a epic institute like PGMS, it's almost like a dream come true.
Actually, rank 1 is very special, I feel, because there's nobody above you today in that exam.
Yes,
How does it feel?
it feels very nice. That makes a lot of difference, and you get your own opportunities to choose between the subjects, and
Yes.
you can take whatever you want.
Yes, today you can take anything you want.
Yes.
Yes, that is the beauty of it. That is the beauty of working hard to reach to a level where you can make choices for yourself, and choices are not made for you, by default. Now you can take anything you want to.
Yes, sir, definitely.
So with this, you must have put in a lot of hard work to reach to this point. So if I go back in journey, I think you first came to DAMS in your pre-final year or the third year
Yes,
for the
yes.
foundation course.
Yes.
And you were telling me that you used to come from Rohtak to Delhi to attend classes.
Yes, sir, at weekends.
How much was the distance at that time?
So
How long it took? Used to take?
around 90-100 kilometers. That's all.
100. So reason I pointed it out was because many people, when they see a ranker, they start complaining that his life was easy, my life is tough, and like that. If you notice, he was traveling 100 kilometers up and down every weekend
Yes.
to attend DAMS classes. So that is the kind of dedication he had from the beginning itself. So when you came to the foundation course, what was your strategy in the class, or how did you utilize those classes at that time? You must be totally entering the world of competition in the beginning, and how did you utilize those classes?
Before DAMS, I didn't know much of about PGI preparation and anything regarding that, how the questions come and what are the type of questions come and what exactly you need to know and don't need to know. After joining DAMS, everything was more focused. In every subject, you know what to read, and every subject was actually more enjoyable after joining DAMS. Before that, it was not the case like that. So after joining my foundation course, I learned about pre-final and final year subjects, which were almost very interesting, and every teacher tries its best to make those subjects very interesting for the student, and reading those notes again in a 1 or 2 day gap period, and then revising further, because they are obviously the main base of what you know.
And then in the final year, you joined us back for the second year subjects that you had missed at that time.
Yes, sir.
And then you did a T&D in final year and
Yes,
a
sir.
test and discussion in internship as well.
Yes, sir. I did my test and discussion twice, once in the final year and mainly in the internship.
So if I now look back at the preparation that you have done, so if I may say that you spend your sixth semester onwards time into building notes,
Yes, sir.
forming concepts,
Yes, sir.
and in internship you are primarily into the testing mode.
Yes.
And the test and discussion mode.
Yes, sir.
That was your strategy.
Yes, sir. And the first 2 years, the strategy was only making notes and just reading them and reading the main books, and I didn't solve any MCQs at that time. It was all in the internship when I started doing the questions, and I left all my books aside and just notes and the add-on things and the questions.
I think that is a very good strategy, because that allows you to learn the subject in total. Otherwise, if you start doing MCQs too early, what happens is you are biased by the MCQs and you read only what has been asked in the past,
Yes.
while in the real exams you will have new questions.
Yes, that's
Did you utilize the other activities that we do in DAMS, like the CBT test?
I gave the CBT test.
What was your rank in
yes,
CBT?
Sir, it was 22.
22. Very good. So did that give you confidence?
Yes, sir. It did give me a confidence that I can do good at national level examinations, and it was a kind of a booster for me.
Did you give the mock tests that we conduct?
Yes, sir. I gave all the 3 mock tests.
So were you happy with the quality of questions and the distribution that we had created for PGI mock?
Yes, sir. It was a very nice mock, and many new questions were there. And after that, rather than looking on the answers, I sought every video of each subject, so that I can grasp much more and I can know what is required, not everything about it. So it was a very nice approach.
I think listening to the videos after the test and after the previous year papers discussion, I think it's vital, especially in PGI, where more than one answer can be correct, and you can't reach to the answer just by fluke, because you need to identify all the correct answers.
Yes, sir.
So it requires a solid knowledge base. You can't just use common sense and solve it in the exam. You need to know the subject thoroughly, I feel.
In PGI, you need to know everything about that question which is asked, because they can ask about anything and put that in any option.
And it could be all 5 answers correct, it could be 4, it could be 3, it could be 1. So at times even none also. So we have to be very, very knowledge base oriented.
Yes, sir. We have.
Yes. So with that, I also want to know that did you utilize the DVD session that we conducted?
Yes, sir. I attended that 3-day session at Rank-1 only.
Rank-1. So were you happy with the technology that we use in satellite?
Yes.
Were you happy with the way we are able to utilize technology, harness it, and we have kind of made technology invisible, that it somehow it feels that it is just a teacher teaching you there.
Yes, sir. It almost feels like that.
Because what I feel is that the value of technology is technology should be seen as a tool. Yes, but sometimes what happens is people forget that the main thing is the teaching, that the academics behind it. Technology is just a tool to send across the education to the other side.
It's just an add-on point. Base is great, but technology also helps you.
Yes,
it's a surplus.
Yes. So I also want to know from you, like how did you find the papers that we conduct in TND? You did that twice. So did you notice that we change questions every year? Were you able to utilize the question papers? And how was your strategy during the TND? Did you go back home and look at the questions that you're doing wrong? What was your way of utilizing TND?
So the questions which came in the TND were very nice, were nicely framed, were quite new. Even many recent updates are being covered in those papers. And after doing them, after having making my notes thoroughly in the class and listening to the teacher, and I used to revise that in one or 2 days, in the notes in the whole paper, and especially look at where I went wrong, in which questions I went wrong, and why did I do so. So that makes a lot of difference. You need to revise those papers also.
Did you look at the previous PGI paper that we had put on the e-medicos discussion?
Yes, sir. I listened to all the videos.
So did that help you to formulate the planning for PGI?
Yes, sir. It did help, and it also tells about how to solve a question in PGI, which is a very different thing from other exams. So the strategy, how to tackle a question, is a very different thing, which I learned even from PGI. So after seeing PGI May 2018.
Now we want to know from you, like you are a rank 1 in this PGI Chandigarh exam, and what was your strategy? I'll start with during the exam. What was your strategy during the exam? Like in AIMS, I've interviewed a lot of toppers, and for the listeners' benefit, we have put them all videos on the YouTube and the Facebook channel where we have discussed, and the consensus was that top 50 in AIMS were all aggressive about marking. They had done around 195 plus in the attempting out of 200 questions. But looking at the negative marking in PGI, I'm sure you will agree, the approach in the marking would be slightly different. So out of 250 questions, that would make it 1250 choices. How many did you attempt?
Around 600 I did. Yes.
And I've seen that, last 2-3 years, 600 is the kind of buzzword for all PGI rankers, that they do around 600. And that is, earlier they used to say 500, but now with the paper, I think more choices are correct. And maybe some questions are there where all 4 are right. So that makes it like around 600. So did you consciously try to do that, or were you, okay in the exam? Like, what was your approach? Like, would you call your approach a bit guarded in PGI or aggressive? What was your idea?
I thought that I would attempt around 500 or 550 questions, 550 options at least. That is at least which is required to get a good rank in PGI. But as I saw the question paper, in that it was coined as a very doable paper. So I went a bit aggressive, or more aggressive, where even I had a doubt, I marked that.
Yes.
If I was more than 50% sure that is the answer.
Another thing I want to tell all the listeners is that even if you see a PGI paper which is doable, now sometimes what happens is some people still they come with a preset mindset that okay, I will do only 500. But if you are feeling that the answer is correct, do it. So that is why he is able to do 600. I have talked to other PGI rankers also. Most of the good rankers in this PGI have done around 600, 620. 650. That is the range they have marked in. So it is good to know from the people that okay, that in the earlier PGI people were doing around 550 to get a rank, but when you are giving the exam, you have to fine tune according to the exam. He felt that the exam was doable. Now, when you say the exam was doable, like, can you tell us that what were the kind of topics that they were stressing on in the exam?
Sir, the subjects to everybody are very well known. The marking scheme of the PGI and the questions, how many questions come from each subject. The clinicals here are very important. The surgery, the medicine, and pathology, pharmacology, microbiology. They carry a lot of questions. Even biochemistry and the immunology and genetics part is very, very important. And even now, there are very new questions that have been framed on new drugs and the methods of examination in abdomen. And even in medicine, they are asking new questions. Like there was a question on multiple sclerosis and other topics are myotonic dystrophy. So there are many new topics and many things about that are recently being asked.
Do you feel that these are some topics that you're mentioning are new for as far as the PGI? If you look at the previous papers and you look at this year's exam, like what changes did you perceive when you gave this PGI exam? And that would be helpful for future PGI aspirants, if they know it from you.
There were many new topics which are not as new, but they didn't come in PGI in last 2 to 3 years, which I solved. So they are new for the PGI, and I was not expecting that they would ask a question from these topics. But still, they made up 5 choices about that topic and put that in a question form. So many things are slight a bit changing now.
Yeah, and I personally felt that the number of repeat questions here this time was slightly lesser than the previous. What do you think?
Yes, sir. It was far less.
So what happens is sometimes I see people who are preparing for PGI, they only look at, I'll only remember the previous question. It's good to look at previous questions. There is no denying that. But look at previous questions to look at the topics that they are asking instead of verbatim mugging them up. And because the topics are still, there's always a good chance of repeating the topic. But if you look for a straightforward, direct repeat from the question, sometimes it may not come. And gradually, both the central institutes, I feel, have a tendency towards topic repeat rather than the direct question repeat. That is very important. And this is about the exam. But before you gave the exam, like, did you do any special thing before in the last week before PGI?
No, sir. I did solve some 3 to 4 year papers. Also, I initially had a differential approach that PGI people ask that all are accept or all are included in this, and if this finding is there, it can be seen in this and this disease. So I had my own approach regarding differentials. A bit of there. I used OneNote for that even, and I used I had a page in which we carries all the differentials, like a sign is seen in radiology, then all the differentials of that. A picture, a blood smear is seen in pathology, cap out ring, and how schistocytes, where all it can be seen. So I also used that in last week.
So if I say in last week your approach was to look at last 3-4 years PGI paper, just go through them again just in case you are missing out on something, and you kept that differential approach where you were looking at what all could be causes of X thing in lab, like, or in clinical symptom, or what all could be the causes of it, like we say the DD approach. So did you find that approach to be useful in the exam?
It's very helpful, especially for the PG exam.
Because even in radiology, what I feel is that, sometimes a question in PGI may be as simple as miliary appearance, but there are 5 choices, and you have to find out what all are there, what all are not. So questions are often simple, but when you have to pick up more than one answer, you have to be very clear, and you have to know that there is a differential diagnosis to things. And this is unique in PGI. This is different from other exams. Other exams, you have a single best answer type, where if they say miliary, you know that the best answer should be tuberculosis. But in PGI, it could even be metastasis. It could even be. So that is the beauty of the exam, PGI. It's very knowledge intensive and approach intensive, I would say. And Sarthak, we were discussing before we started the interview, we were discussing that, you have, some difference in your rank in AIMS and PGI. Like in AIMS, you had a rank of around 100, and PGI, you topped the exam. So, do you think that there is some differences in the pattern of the exam that kind of works here? Like, what is the difference between a person who is getting a great rank in PGI and a great rank in AIMS? What would you maybe approach difference you will find?
So there is a approach difference is definitely there. In AIMS, I got 87 rank.
87, yeah.
But in PGI, definitely it's one. But approach difference is there. In AIMS, it's obviously a visual oriented exam, and they are touching many subjects superficially, and they are also looking for new cases, new options, and
even Nobel Prize they have asked.
Yes, Nobel Prize was asked, and new instruments are also being asked in AIMS, and in PGI it's not the case like that. So it's a very different approach.
And plus that AIMS has that visually intensive, video intensive this time. Plus, journal aspect of clinical sciences is more stressed upon.
AIMS also prefers the first year and second year subjects more, and PGI goes for clinical subjects more.
Yeah.
So
that is a very important difference for everybody to understand, and you have to target the exams correctly, and you have to do the correct thing in the last 1 week. What I like about his approach is in the last 1 week before PGI, he was clearly focused on PGI, and he knew that he could make a difference. Yes, and he put those 7 days into looking at previous year's topics and DD approach. Yes, yeah, that's very beautifully put. And what advices that you would give, like if I ask you academic advice, I'll ask you both the advices about the strategy during the exam as well as the approach. If anybody is preparing for PGI Chandigarh, specifically for the mid-year PGI Chandigarh, what topics do you think would be high yield for him?
First of all, revising notes is a very important thing. That creates the base. Many questions are asked from notes as well, and you cannot leave them apart. You need to have your notes revised thoroughly, even many times, especially for PGI, and you need to know everything about a specific disease or which has been asked in PGI. And also new things are also being asked. New drugs is a very important topic. They'll always give new drugs in 2 or 3 questions. That's very high yield topic there. And general surgery is also very big. New things are being asked in general surgery. Medicine, they are also touching new diseases and new topics. Pathology also comes very recent. WHO 2016 updates, and new things are. And even microbiology in PGI is also getting a bit new.
So if I say pathology, microbiology, surgery, the general part is now the added thing. New drugs.
Yes.
And this is what we talked about more or less. So any if I go more into detail, any like particular questions or anything that you would recall and you might want to share with students that okay, this was something very interesting they had asked, like you were talking about a question with had examination steps in the question, which is very unique. I've never seen such a question in PGI before, so I think it's very unique this time.
Yes, there was a question regarding general examination of the abdomen in medicine, and all the 5 options were regarding the methods of examination, which was a very new question, and I was not expecting it to come in PGI at least.
But I'm sure you would have done it right, and yes, that is why you are rank 1. And so getting a rank 1 in a central institute is a big achievement, and the entire DAMS team is very, very proud of your achievement, and we feel that your ranks have kind of validated our efforts, and we feel very, very proud. So any particular teachers that you want to mention today that you felt played a part in your journey?
So definitely, I would like to thank you. You are a kind of a very inspirational figure to me. And before joining your class and attending your class, I didn't like radiology that much. But after attending that class, it was one of my favorite subjects always, and it's still now. And you especially, Dipti ma'am, Diksha Sikri ma'am, and Saurabh Dixit sir, he teaches very well, and he's very quite updated about the protocols in surgery, how it's done.
And those are very important for PGI.
Yes, sir, very important. And Siddharth Shekhar Mishra sir, he just simplifies the PSM for any student that is needed. And also Tushar Mehta sir, and
so did you enjoy your time at DAMS?
Yes, sir, very much.
So would you say that when you entered DAMS, you took a decision, and it was a little tough decision that you had to travel 100 kilometers every day to come up and down? Do you think that was worth it?
Yes, sir. There was also satellite center. There is a satellite center at Rohtak also, but I wanted to have experience of live class, because I thought that that's a difference in a satellite and a live class. If live class is approachable, it's 100 kilometers, not too much. So I went for it, and that.
But now that you've seen both the parts, are you more satisfied with the technology?
Now, at that time I was excited,
Yeah.
Regarding, I would sit in the class and a teacher is in front of me, I would listen to him and my mind would be more open, and I would just calmly listen to him and make notes thoroughly. But even satellite is also very good.
I think many students in Rohtak, they join us for satellite
Yes.
courses and they make notes. So if I say that, anybody aspiring to get a rank, just like you, rank 1, should begin early
Yes.
and make notes at the right time.
Yes, so that's the most important.
That's very important. And then shift gears in internship towards a test and discussion kind of a model where you are more towards MCQ at that time, and more towards notes making, and you revise those notes in internship. Was that the idea?
And pre-final, final year, I don't think that there is much of need to go into the MCQs.
Yes.
Mainly, your concept should be strong. You can read standard books at that time and add on many things onto your notes. And notes are those final things which you have to revise just before exams, and revise many times actually.
I think that is the common thing that all high achievers are. This time I've been hearing all high achievers are saying the same thing, that in the final years don't run after guidebooks. At that time, it is a good idea to follow up the classes with some standard textbooks here and there. Reading a good chapter here and there would solidify your concepts. And don't go after guidebooks, and don't go after questions that have been asked in the past in too early in the game. Because what will happen is, if you go towards the previous question too early in the game, you get biased. Anyhow, you have to see previous year's questions, especially for AIMS and PGI. It is important to look at 3 to 5 years previous questions at least. It is important for AIMS and PGI at least. In PGI, we are looking at topic repeats. In AIMS also, nowadays there is a significant chunk of topic repeat. But what I felt this time was that the topic repeat percentage in AIMS was slightly better than the last AIMS,
Yes.
and slightly lesser than the last PGI, which was reverse of what we usually expect. This is what my conclusion has been. But you never can guarantee in the exams, and that is the beauty of an exam. They are unpredictable for everybody, and that is what makes their achievement so special. That when you get a rank 1, it makes it so special, because these are tough exams. This is knowledge oriented exam. They test everything in one paper. You've done so well. Any message that you want to give to any future aspirants, and I want that message to have two parts. One would be an academic part, where you can give your academic advice, and second, I also want to know what makes you the high achiever that you are, what makes you so special that you have a rank 1, and maybe convert that into a message for the future listeners, both from the academic point of view as well as the motivation point of view.
As far as the central insurance exams are concerned, both AIMS and PGI, they are both doable papers now. And if your base is strong, your notes are thoroughly revised, and you know new things, you are updated, you can definitely get a rank in these things. It's not something very difficult. And you need to believe in yourself. The main thing which I always have concerned is that if you can get a rank, you need to believe it and you need to persist it. You have to have the persistence should be there in your preparation, that I can get a rank, and belief is there. It can happen.
And I also totally agree with this, and I feel that you have put it in a very right words, that these are doable exams. And please mark the words that he's saying. He says doable, and doable is very important here, because sometimes I see students, they rule themselves out in the beginning of preparation itself, that AIMS, PGI are not for us, they are not. But these are papers which are doable. And I would say that in the entire 2 papers this year, there is not even a single question which is absurd. They've asked all good questions. I would say there's no absurd question here, no controversial question. You would say there's nothing controversial about the paper.
Yes, that's also
And it is very important that sometimes when you're preparing, I see many people, they focus too much on the controversies of the past. But if you notice, if an examiner has made an ambiguous question once, they usually don't repeat that, because they know that, okay, this is something, they have made ambiguous. They realize, and, things that they are repeating are more conceptual.
Yes. Ambiguous kind of questions are never repeated.
Yeah,
Very
because
rarely.
that's sometimes it happens as a mistake, and that doesn't get repeated again and again. But some students, there's so much energy onto it that by the time they have to do concept, they're already exhausted.
They get deviated. Many people.
Yes. Did you utilize the DAMS Facebook group also to discuss with the faculties?
Yes, I was active at the group, not that much active, but I used to open it once in 2 or 3 days, and also take up all the updates which are being put by faculty, and save it to my phone, and then reading it whenever I like to do so.
Would you say that DAMS played a significant role in your success?
Definitely.
Were you happy with the way DAMS could partner into every aspect, be it testing, be it revision, be it your notes making in the beginning, be it discussions of the test papers?
Yes.
Were you happy with the teachers?
Yes, very much.
Would you recommend us to your juniors?
Yes, definitely.
And I'm so happy to hear from you, because reason I put these direct questions to you here, because I want because this kind of validates our efforts. And I'm every teacher who's listening to you today, all our teachers also log into our interviews. They also listen to what the toppers are saying, what the rank 1 is saying, and that motivates them. Like we motivate you, now is your turn. You motivate us. So we feel very happy. We feel very happy with your success, and I'm sure your parents must be very proud of you today.
Yes, sir.
Are they very excited at the rank 1?
Yes, sir. They are very excited. Both of them are doctors in PGI NOV, and they are very excited.
I'm sure it's something to be excited about, because I feel rank 1 is something unique. Rank 1 is like like it could have been 2, it could have been 3, but even those are good ranks. There's no denying that. But rank 1 is special. It happens. It's something for a lifetime.
Yes.
It's a lifetime achievement.
Yes.
So may I ask you now, the critical question that many students after you in the rank list would be wanting to know: what subject are you going to opt for?
So probably I will opt for MD General Medicine.
MD General Medicine, he says, and I'm sure he will make a great physician. He will become a great physician. We'll hear about him in future as well. I'm sure he will make the country proud, his parents proud, and the entire DAMS team is really proud of his achievement. I would like to congratulate you once again, and I would like to extend my congratulations to your parents as well. Heartiest congratulations. God bless you. God bless you.